2016, fitness coach Missy Bevers was found dead at Creekside Church in Texas. Security footage from shortly before the incident shows an individual in police tactical gear, whom authorities believe is responsible for the murder. Few developments have been made since the investigation commenced, and the assailant remains at large. In 2018, Jérôme Hamon became the first person to undergo a second face transplant after complications with anti-rejection medication led to the failure of his first transplant. Dr. Laurent Lantieri initially performed the first transplant at Paris's Georges Pompidou Hospital in 2010. Hamon had a genetic condition that disfigured his face with tumors. When the tissue began to fail in November 2017, Lantieri removed it. In January 2018, Hamon received a second face transplant after a new donor became available. Jérôme Hamon passed away in April 2024, aged 49. In 1936, Jack Sullivan was convicted of fatally shooting railroad officer John Bradbury in a gunfight. This photo was captured of him smoking a cigar within a smile on his face just moments before being executed by lethal gas at the state prison on May 17, 1936, in Florence, Arizona. These are the fingerprints of Alvin Karpis after his arrest, 1936, having had his fingerprints removed by underworld physician Joseph Moran in 1934. Alvin Karpis was a leader of the Barker-Karpis gang in the 1930s. Known as Creepy for his sinister smile, he led the gang with Fred Barker and Arthur Doc Barker. Of the four criminals designated Public Enemy #1 by the FBI, Karpis was the only one captured alive. Sentenced to life imprisonment in 1936, he was linked to 6 to 14 murders. Despite spending nearly 26 years in prison, Karpis never attempted to escape. For decades, the four people of Papua New Guinea practiced endocannibalism, consuming the bodies of deceased relatives to prevent haunting, with the brain reserved for children and mothers. This led to the spread of Kuru, a fatal disease caused by damaged proteins in the brain, resulting in symptoms like difficulty walking and uncontrollable laughter. Despite ceasing the practice in the 1960s, Kuru continued to affect people for years due to its long incubation period. In 2016, Armin Schmieder livestreamed his wingsuit jump from a mountain in Switzerland. After waving to the camera and tucking it into his pocket, he leaped and glided through the air for about 25 seconds. Tragically, his descent ended in a fatal collision with the side of a mountain. In July 1954, 12-year-old Daniel Kenneth Wood Jr. vanished from his home in South Gray, Maine. Before his disappearance, Daniel made a strange phone call to his mother, telling her that he had been offered a job with a door-to-door salesman, earning 50 cents an hour. He assured her he would be home before dark and quickly hung up. As the hours passed and the sun set, Daniel's chair at the dinner table remained empty. His family reported him missing when he didn't return. A few days later, Daniel's body was discovered in the Androscoggin River, bearing signs of severe blunt force trauma. Despite various leads, including a mysterious phone call from a woman claiming Daniel was with a man from Alabama, the case went unsolved. In a surprising development, Canadian police later connected a similar case to Lucien Picard, who was executed for another child's murder. However, no direct link was established. The case remains cold, with unanswered questions and unresolved clues. This video footage captured Notorious BIG leaving a party in March 1997, just moments before he was shot 4 times. The final bullet was the only fatal shot. It entered through his right hip and struck his colon, liver, heart, and left lung before stopping in his left shoulder. He was only 24 years old. In September 2023, 39-year-old Joanne Dodd attacked Carl Cooper in a pub in Manchester, England, after he mistakenly said she was 43. When Cooper tried to escape to the toilet, Dodd confronted him and shoved her wine glass in his face twice, causing a 4-inch laceration near his eye and a thumb injury. Dodd claimed she was suffering from low self-esteem and found the remark offensive. She admitted to causing grievous bodily harm and faced up to 3 years in jail. However, Judge Elizabeth Nichols spared her from prison, issuing a suspended sentence. The judge noted that what constitutes harmless banter to some can be offensive to others. In 2015, Dennis Antiporek was cooked to death in a sauna because of a faulty timer. Dennis Antiporek left a note for his family stating he was heading to the sauna in their South Florida residential community for some relaxation. When he failed to return after several hours, his daughter Lara went looking for him. Inside the sauna, she found his body so badly burned that she didn't immediately recognize him due to the extreme darkening of his skin. This photograph shows a German commando that was captured in an American uniform being prepared for execution, December 23, 1944. During the Battle of the Bulge, Operation Greif, led by Waffen-SS Commando Otto Skorzeny, aimed to capture Meuse River bridges using German soldiers disguised in Allied uniforms and vehicles. However, shortages in supplies and equipment prevented the mission from achieving its goal. The German commandos were eventually captured. During their execution, they were made to wear blindfolds and large white paper targets over their hearts to make it easy to execute them. In 2013, 38-year-old David Holmes rode his motorcycle at 97 miles per hour before colliding with an oncoming car. Despite efforts by emergency services to revive him, Holmes tragically did not survive. On April 6, 1893, Andy Bowen and Jack Burke fought the longest-gloved boxing match in history at the Olympic Club in New Orleans, Louisiana. The fight lasted 7 hours and 19 minutes over 110 rounds. Bowen had originally scheduled the fight with another opponent. However, after dropping out of the fight, Jack Burke, who was the latter's trainer, fought the bout instead. It was reported that the fight went on for so long that the spectators who stayed to watch the fight had fallen asleep in their seats. On March 26, 1991, 5 boys, known as the Frog Boys, disappeared while searching for salamander eggs in Daegu, South Korea. A massive search ensued, ordered by President Roh Tae-woo. Their remains were found on September 26, 2002, near the site of their disappearance. Initially attributed to hypothermia, the cause of death was disputed after signs of blunt force trauma were discovered. Theories include accidental death by military personnel, as a shooting range was nearby. Despite investigations, the case remains unsolved. In 1997, 23-year-old French conman Frédéric Bourdin impersonated Nicholas Barclay, a 16-year-old Texan who had disappeared 3 years earlier. Despite differences like eye color and accent, Bourdin convinced authorities and Nicholas's family he was their missing son. He lived with the family for nearly 5 months, fabricating stories about his changed appearance and trauma. Doorbell camera footage from February 2021 captures the moment Deputy Sarah Vaught comes dangerously close to death after Lance Runyon opened his front door and immediately fired at the cop during a wellness check. Runyon was then shot, but survived. He later got 17 years in prison. In 1965, actor Steve Cochran died at sea with 2 young women and a girl on board. The 3 females spent 10 days stranded at sea with the decaying actor's body on board until they were rescued. In June 1965, Cochran took 2 young women and a 14-year-old girl on a sailing trip from Acapulco to Costa Rica, claiming it was for a film project. A few days into the voyage, a storm damaged the yacht, causing it to lose one of its 2 masts. Shortly after, Cochran fell ill and passed away on June 15, 1965, at age 48. The women, unable to sail the boat, were stranded with Cochran's decomposing body for 10 days before they were finally rescued. The yacht, still carrying his corpse, was later found drifting off the coast of Guatemala.